Hello, everybody. We're going to talk about two of the most important prophecies that validate that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. One is in the book of Nehemiah, and the other one's in the book of Daniel. There are plenty of prophecies that Jesus fulfilled, but here are probably the two most important ones because they got a time date stamp on it, really. In the book of Nehemiah, we know that Artaxerxes, and we know that Artaxerxes gave the decree to go back and build the temple. We know that from chapters 1 and 2. And it was in the 20th year of his reign in the month of Nisan. And he came to power in 465 BC. This is universally accepted. You can Google it easily. So in the 20th year of his reign, that would have put it 445 BC. Now, why is that important? That's when the people, the Hebrew people, were taken back into captivity and their temple was destroyed. And they were going to be held in captivity for 70 years. So that's one. The other one is the book of Daniel, chapter 9. This is where you hear about the 77s. There's the two sevens, and then the 62 sevens, and then the week of 7. Okay, so that's 490 years. That's 70 weeks of 7, and that's referred to as weeks, but it's years. So that's 70 weeks of 7 is 490 years. But you have to convert it into solar years because the Jews used the lunar years. And that puts it to 483 BC. So, well, that's right, 483 BC. But then you have to subtract out the final 7 because that 7 hasn't come yet. And that's what's also referred to as the years of the 7 years of tribulation. So it comes down to 483 minus 7 is 476. So 476 years minus the 445 when the decree went out is when you get 31 AD. And we know Jesus was born about 2 AD. So there you have it. The two most important things. And if you read, when you read it's not only given dates in the book of Daniel, but it's talking about when the Messiah, Prince of Peace, comes in, he'll be cut off, but not because of his own, but for the world, really. And you can read about that in Isaiah 52 and 53. So those are really the most critical things. And it's really important for people to know the prophecies. For believers, it's important because it strengthens your foundation because, occasionally we do come under attack from Satan. What we believe as a child becomes under scrutinizing. You become a teenager and say, well, how do you know? Well, how do you know this and how do you know that? From people and from Satan, who puts those thoughts in your head. But that's no big deal for God because he's open to the task of answering your questions. So just go to him and search the scriptures. And there's plenty of commentary out there that talks about that kind of stuff. So that should be pretty exciting to you. And also, I'm going to do in a future study is how the Old Testament scriptures refer back to each other. So therefore they validate each other. And that includes the times of Daniel, Nehemiah, Ezra, and how they either overlapped or some time period afterwards, but for which it validates the previous prophecies of the particular prophets, the major prophets and minor prophets. So it's really good reading. It should strengthen your faith. So again, let's do that math again. So it's 490 years. Convert it from lunar to solar years. That's 483. Take out the final 7, and that gives you 476. Subtract out the date of which Nehemiah made that decree. That's 445 BC. And we know he came to power in 465 BC. And again, you can see that's how the kings. That's how we know. That's how time was kind of kept by the king's calendar, pretty much. And you ever wonder? That's also an interesting study too, as to how people look in encyclopedias and say, how do they know that person lived in 400 BC or 1000 BC or Egyptians 3000? There's a number of ways they do that, and they cross correlate to each other. So it's really a good thing to be aware of this, and I hope your faith is strengthened, because when your faith is strengthened in who God is and the integrity of his word, and it makes a Christian bold. And if you're a non-believer, you can hang your hat on those kind of things, plus the other prophecies that are out there he fulfilled. We'll talk more about that later. You guys have yourself a great day.